Honestly, unbelievable. I tried to just like divert it. Right. Hey, this is going to be something different. This is normally Muscles and Nonsense. I'm normally Thomas, the lead speaker, the lead listener. Sam, you've been on the podcast before. And me and Sam have recently been speaking about potentially starting a podcast together. So instead of me just talking or Sam just talking, we're going to discuss a lot of things in the fitness industry, because what we want to do, or what our aim is to try and clarify things. Give our own expertise, give our own just opinions on some things, because I think maybe there's some things that the research says that I don't know if I agree with it. Even if the science is like massively supporting it, I do normally lean that way, but there's still things that I think like humans are a bit unpredictable, so there's some stuff that maybe didn't work, or things that have just worked for Sam and I. We're going to trial it. We're going to just see how it flows. We do plan on doing like a much better quality production. We're going to do it in the studio. We're going to have mics. And
it's going to look sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to feel a lot more professional, but better. And probably keep us, actually, I wonder if that's taking a photo. I had like on my screen, there was a picture of you like that. So I've tried to, I'm hoping that keeps that.
I hope so too.
It's cool that we've both got our own bit of branding on.
Mate, yours much more colourful than mine. I don't know if that speaks more to your personality than it does mine, or what do you think?
I don't know what it says about me, but this is the pride flag.
Yeah.
And there's actually a bit of a story behind this, right? And I quite like it. So when I started my business, there was 2 gay guys opened up a coffee shop. Like, it was honestly like the same day. And I would go in and I would have a coffee with them. And I've had a lot of gay friends throughout my life. I could maybe touch a bit on this, right? But I had a few gay clients, and like obviously you know yourself, as you speak to people, you get to know them a bit better. And there was a struggle and something that they all went through that I was like, this is less about like sexuality and more about just being allowed to be yourself. And I was like, right, I'm going to make a t-shirt that's the pride flag, that's like a tip of the hat to the James and Oleg, and then the bunch of clients that I had that were all homosexual, gay, queer. I have to apologise. To me, you're just you. And I don't know if you want a label or a title. I don't know. But to all those people that I knew, it was like a tip of the hat to like being you. And the t-shirt's called the Be You t-shirt. And it just...
Man, that's sweet.
It's all about just don't conform. Just be yourself. Be you.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to be you. But yeah, I don't know what it says. Actually, the more podcasts that you do, you'll slowly start to realise that like 90% of what I do has heaps and heaps of layers and reasons behind it. That's maybe like the creative that's in me coming through on
for
stuff.
Sure. Mate, for sure. I think that's so important, because I mean, and we'll probably touch on this as well, but authenticity, both in business, in life, in relationships, in friendships, that's the driving force, isn't it? Is being able to be yourself, be authentic, be true to your personality, be true to your attitude. Is because otherwise, why, what's the point, in my opinion? So, mate, that's sweet. That's nice.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the film Man on the Moon?
I've not.
It's got Jim. Is it Carey?
Right. Yeah.
And it's about a guy called Andrew or Andy. Oh, I can't remember. But right, you need to watch it. And it's based on a true story. This comedian was like cracking jokes that he thought was funny, but like didn't let anybody else in on.
Right.
And like he was like, he brought what's that acting called when people just like engulf themselves in it?
Method acting.
So he took method acting to like next level. He would have characters and he would come off stage and his manager would be like, I think we're a bit close to the bone, and he would just keep that character going.
Yeah.
And then people were like, what the fuck, who are you? Like, I need you to be the professional that we can talk to. And he would just keep it going. You should watch it. I'm sure it's called Man on the Moon. Let me Google it quickly.
Man on the Moon. I don't even know if I've heard of it.
Man on the Moon.
You know how is that what it's called? Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
What was that, a Netflix thing? Is it, or?
Andy Kaufman. Mate, my
Kaufman.
brain sometimes with like useless things blows my mind. Andy Kaufman, yeah, it was a true story. It was on Netflix, but I actually think there's a documentary on Netflix about the making of the film because Jim Carrey actually like landed himself very much like method acting and like stuck in the role.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well, but sometimes I feel like that's what I'm doing with my life. Like I'm just doing my own thing, and I'm like, a lot of people don't get this, but I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, because it makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what makes films like that so... I mean, how far off topic are we talking about films now? But I suppose that's what makes like films so good, is that they get so engulfed with the character, they get so involved that you almost feel as if you're there. And I think that's what makes that's what makes the film so much better and everything else so much better.
It is one of those that you're almost like, oh no, just be normal for a minute. Just say like, but he doesn't. Honestly, it's definitely worth watching. Recommendations. You'll get that as well from me. A lot of film.
We'll watch that. Kim and me will watch that. You know what? I bet you Kim's already watched that. She's watched. She's the film watcher. She's watched everything. So I bet you she's watched that.
I've watched a lot of films.
Yeah.
Me and Lisa, I totally regret not keeping like a diary of them. Like, see, like during lockdown, the way we done it is we like kind of scheduled our week. So like Sunday night, there was Grayson Perry. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
The artist, like the cross-dressing artist. He used to do this thing. It was like paint with Grayson. So every Sunday night we would just watch that and we would just have maybe a glass of wine and paint. I was all doing lockdown.
That's so good.
It was brilliant, eh? And
how mad was everyone for Bob Ross during lockdown, though? Sorry to interrupt you there. Bob Ross.
Mental. Just mental.
Oh, mate. He is the boy.
Just mental. There's a film about him, isn't there? It's just new as well.
Yeah, probably. Man's a legend.
Yeah.
Man is an absolute legend.
So cool. Right, let's get on to the topic of like fitness, health, fat loss, and everything that comes in with it.
Yeah.
And what we done before, and I think next time, Sam, what we do is we either work through these three topics, or what we do is we just put out a poll or like a question box, and we just talk about what other people want to know more about or ask. Do you have the anonymous option?
What, for people to ask questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got rid of it. It was annoying me.
So you get bot questions. You get like default bot questions.
They drove me nuts.
Yeah, and so like, you know which ones are the default bot questions, because...
Well.
On that note.
Well, I didn't know there was bot questions. And I was like, why are people asking about relationships? And why do people care about like kinky stuff? I was like, this is weird. And I was just answering them. Just like trying to be like, just big dope that I am.
Oh, mate. You can tell you're older.
Total boomer.
Total boomer. Absolute boomer.
Actually, before we do move on, am I right in thinking you got a photo shoot coming up?
I do. So I've just booked it, and it's for the 16th of November. So that's like 12 weeks. 12 weeks we're saying. But you know what, mate? I've actually been ill.
Oh, really?
I've been ill. So I was at a stag do in Belfast last weekend, and oh my god, isn't that just a stag do, a hen do, whatever it is that you've been on? Isn't that just the fattest reminder that you are of a certain age?
Mate, you're still young as well.
Mate, I mean, I am. I'm young. I am, but I'm too old for that nonsense. Too old. That life is behind me. Way gone. Right.
I'm going to tell you what. I've been on a couple stag do's, okay?
Says the man who went to Ibiza for a night.
We can talk about that another time. When you're younger, it's like there's this wildness. You're like, fuck it, this is new, I can do it, whatever. And then you go through this spell where like you do genuinely think you're as mature as you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
And those things you're like, nah, I'm not really into them. And genuinely, right, I'm kind of like the tail end of it now. And then when you start going on like a few more stag do's, there's always like a rogue guy that's like way older than everybody else, like someone's uncle or like someone's big sister's husband or something like that, right? And he's back at like 18, 19-year-old where it's all new because he's probably had kids, he's not been on a proper night out in God knows how long. And honestly, it's like you get this second wind, but it's like later in life. So just take that from like my life experience of getting closer to 40.
So mate, the stag do I was on was, I'd probably say about half of the stag was of that age group.
Yeah.
And mate, they were putting me to shame. I went to bed early on the Saturday because I was like, here, if I don't go to bed early tonight, I am absolutely written off for tomorrow. Absolutely written off.
Yeah, I went on a stag do, and all the older boys, I won't say whose stag it was because snitches get stitches, but like there was old boys like falling and banging their heads and getting like black eyes and having to get like stitches because they were getting that bloated. But like next morning they would just be like, right, back on the pints, and I'd be like skewed into like bushes and that, and they're like, let's go again, and I was just like, I wasn't even that drunk last night.
Yeah. Right, the only thing for it is to go again. You go again.
It's so good at the time doing that though.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know those like hangover pints when you're like, you are hungover, and you just have a couple drinks, and it goes from like, you go from like zero to hero. Like, there's no other situation in life that feels as zero to hero. That's why I became obsessed with alcohol, because I just
Mate, we were talking about my photo shoot.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, people who are listening to this are going to be thinking, Jesus Christ, I came here to learn something.
I know.
And you will, and listen, you will, and we will get to that point, but there's our first tip. Don't drink.
So you've not been well, right? Sorry, keep going.
No, mate, you're good. That was pretty much it. So
have you still been able to diet and whatnot? Or?
Yeah, so I was officially started back on Monday, just there. I'd kind of ran sort of a pre-dieting phase, knowing fine well that the stag do was going to be kind of the break. Dropped 2.5 kilos, easy weight, and then it gave me a better starting point for the next 12 weeks. So with this photo shoot prep, it's going to be a lot smoother, mate, because there's not actually too much weight to lose before I'll be ready for it. There's probably another 7 kilos to come off in 12 weeks. So it gives my starting point a really easy start point with plenty of room to grow into. So mate, it's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to it, because up until that point, training had been a bit. I was at kind of a, and I think this is probably a phase that not very many people get into, because they're always so gung-ho with results, so gung-ho with goals, that I don't actually think people ever spend enough time just knowing how to sustain what it is that they've achieved. And that was kind of where I was at before this photo shoot prep, and it was eye-opening, but it was nice. I was training just enough to keep me ticking over, to keep me feeling relatively good. And then it got to a point where I was like, I'm ready to get back into the game, set a goal, and go again.
Brilliant. Right, we're going to talk about all these things, because I think actually these are good points to talk about.
Yeah.
Could you go into a little bit of detail on like what your pre-dieting phase was and what like the purpose of that was? Because a lot of people will never experience this or even like understand it unless they got coached or.
Yeah. So essentially, for a lot of you guys who are listening, who have started a fat loss phase, a dieting phase, weight loss phase, whatever you want to call it, will know that when you start your diet, a lot of weight comes off quite quickly. Now, as amazing as this would be to say that it's body fat, it is not. a lot of that is just water weight, and essentially that was kind of, I wanted to work through that to get my body to a starting point where it's just body fat that's ready to come off.
Yeah.
And I was sort of just kind of testing a few numbers in the gym, cardio targets, step targets, and all these sorts of things to see if I would get the rate of loss that I was looking for come go time, come the start of this photoshop prep. And yeah, because of that, I'm good.
And how long was that pre-dieting phase?
So that'd have been about 3 weeks.
And you said 2.5 kilos, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was 3 weeks. Like I said, I was testing a few numbers. Mm-hmm. Calories were sitting in and around, it was 2,700. With cardio, it was about 40 minutes a week. And then I was doing a boot camp with the TFG team as well. And steps sitting about 8,000. So,
mate, that's...
Yeah, mate, it was...
Like, I know you're not going to take this as like an insult. Sam's not like a massive bloke. He looks it in the video, obviously, but he's... Like, how tall are you, Sam?
Mate, I'm 5'8" in the morning.
5'8", at your tallest.
I'm the tallest.
5'8".
I'm 5'8" with shoes on.
And what do you weigh, roughly?
So at the moment, I am 75.5 kilos.
And
75.5.
You're managing to drop. Fucking hell, that's impressive, man. That's impressive. 2,700 calories.
Yeah.
That's a lot of muscle on that frame, then.
Yeah. Well, I'd hope so. Spent a bloody long time. I say spent a bloody long time. You know, the bodybuilding phase. Or the serious bodybuilding phase lasted about 5 years. So there's some. Yeah. There is some muscle on this frame.
To put that into perspective for folk, Sam is about the average height of a male, 5'8". It's about average height. Probably about average weight, maybe slightly under. I think it's like 80 kilos now.
Yeah.
But that's...
Yeah, I'd say so.
However, like, the world's going, and we can maybe talk about that another time. And the average man needs about 2,500 calories to maintain weight. So Sam's on 200 calories more and dropping about a little over a pound a week. You know, like a pound and three quarter or a pound and a quarter a week to take off. So that's impressive. I reckon you're going to have a real smooth dieting phase.
Yeah.
Touch wood for you, because you know what it's like. It never, no two dieting phases are the same, and you can never predict.
Yeah. If I'm going based on my last dieting phase, mate, which is when I stepped on stage, and that was about 2 years ago now. It was smooth. It was, but that was experience.
100%.
That made that so smooth. And I'm very much the type of guy who, when it's time to go and when it's time to get his head down, it's just smooth. It's just plain sailing.
Do you ever need, like... So see when you're doing your pre-dieting phase and that was like 3 weeks, were you like day one, off the bat, ready to go, like a switch? Or were you like a couple of days and then you felt, right, I'm going now?
Couple of days.
Yeah.
Couple of days and then I'm into it.
Like, no matter how many times I've done it, I always still have to take a couple of days. I remember the first few times that I done it, it was like 3 weeks. It would take me 3 weeks and I'd be like, right, I'm going now. Right, it's time to go.
Yeah. So when was that? Would that be the last time you stepped on show? Was that or
no?
Stepped on stage?
Very first time I done so I done loads of fat loss phases, but it was all through fads and things, like loads that I'd tried in the past. And I think there's like something about 3 weeks, and I don't know if there's like, have you ever read Atomic Habits? I'm sure it's like a little over 3 weeks, and then like you've slotted something new in. Like I used to always just find that like I kind of fucked around, or I'd maybe not have like binges, but I just have like blowouts and be like, well, I actually know that this doesn't matter massively. But I think it was like 2019 when I done my very, very first like proper serious fat loss phase, when I got a coach, when I started working with M.a.N. I'm sure it was about 3 weeks, and I was like, all right, I kind of get this now. Like, I thought there would be more variety. I thought there'd be more changes happening. I thought like there would be some secret that would just like make this happen a lot faster. And then it was like, right, just get your head down. And then my second recomp after that, I can remember kind of just still being like, I'm just going to eat what I want. It doesn't matter. And then it'd be like, right, fuck, like, get your head down. And then I think I had another one. And then I think when I went to compete, it was like 3 or 4 days. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually way better at this. And then that last recomp that I had, it was like a light switch. But I really had something to prove to myself.
Yeah.
Because I'd had such a shitty fat loss like recomp back in like March, the start of last year.
Yeah.
I think I took like 4 kilos off in like 12 weeks. Nah, actually, I'm having crap. I actually think like like the number wise, it looked like a successful one, but it just didn't feel like a good one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think what's like a really important point to make there though is that what works for one person might not necessarily work for another person.
100%.
And 100%. I think this is where kind of people get so bogged down with it in that they think it is, and I suppose in theory it is just a calorie deficit. But, and this will be something that I know that we're going to explore a lot more of, people are complicated.
Yes.
In that, yes, whilst it is, simply put, a calorie deficit that drives fat loss, people's feelings, emotions, preferences, lifestyles are what makes that process different.
Yeah.
Person to person.
And I think it's like a coach. Like I was trying to explain to another PT, I was like, look, you're going to be telling people day in, day out they need to be in a calorie deficit. But no two people are going to get into one the same way. No two people are going to like it is always the same. Like, and no matter what anybody fucking says, like, fat loss does come down to you eat a little bit less and you move a little bit more.
Sure.
But how to fit that into your life is so person dependent. And that's something, do you know what? If I'm honest with you, right, this is why I'm really struggling with content ideas just now. Because things are so personal that, like, I don't want to put all the nuances into my post because nobody reads it.
No.
Like, that's, like, my captions are always really long, but it's because I always put in, but this could happen, you might need to try this might work for you, this has worked for someone that I know, this is what the research says, this is what I've done. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, because you almost kind of don't want to be part of the problem, and that what you don't want to do is you don't want to give too much. You don't want to give so many people too much information that they think to themselves, shit, well that contradicts what I think I know about fat loss. And then what they've got then is another, I guess, storm of information that they struggle to kind of
it can be another barrier.
Make sense of. Yeah, for sure.
Because they're then like, oh, but this is totally different to what I thought and to what someone else said. So I'm going to have to research what they said, but I'm not actually going to research it. I'm just going to see if more people support it. But this person's arguing, so I'm going to spend a little bit more time on TikTok today and see if it supports them. And instead of just like going out and getting an extra 1,000 steps in, and maybe just being a bit more aware of like how many portions of fruit and veg you eat over a day. Like, and honestly, if you're listening and you're like, there's fucking no way it's that simple, try that for 3 weeks solid. Yeah. Try and hit a step target every single day. Like, rain, shine, whatever, just still hit that target. And I'll tell you something, you'll feel fucking unbelievable when you do it on the days that you don't want to. And then just keep an eye on your fruit and veg intake. And it surprises so many people. They're like, oh, I get 10 bits in a day easy. Maybe 1 day a week, but...
Yeah. But honestly, I suppose the biggest shock people have is when you actually get them to track that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and they go, oh shit. The penny drops.
Yeah. Yeah.
The penny literally drops, and they realise how much more than what they need to be eating is so much more. Yeah. And that's a whole other kettle of fish, to be honest.
The thing that I do though, like, think is like, even when you say that to folk, like that, even that, like do more, eat less, like everything's just so extreme in the world that everyone's like, oh, what, you want me to just eat rabbit food? And you're like, no, I just want you to eat a little bit less than what you do. And that little bit less could be like 1 takeaway less a week. It could just be, if you have takeaways every night, you maybe just take half the portion.
Yeah.
But like, people are
half
like, no,
portion, or half the portion, or 2 less takeaways a week, or if you are grabbing the share packets of crisps, could it be just a single packet of crisps, or if you're having a full plate of chips, like a big plate of chips, could it be a small plate of chips?
Yeah.
And the biggest struggle I see people have with that is thinking that everything needs to change, that everything is bad, that their movement habits are the worst ever imaginable, and they absolutely mentally and emotionally batter themselves into no action at all.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Like Sam said earlier on, you as a person, you're way more complicated. You're way more there's way more going on than you realize, and self-awareness. And I think that's a huge thing that as you get better and better and better with fat loss, you get more and more self-awareness. But it's just on one column of your life. It's my fat loss life, why am I good and why am I bad? You just get this self-awareness to that. How you deal in relationships and all public, all that stuff. You don't gain as much self-awareness in that stuff, but you get way more self-aware on one of the biggest things for me was I always treated myself with food. Say I had a good week, right? Let's get takeaway, but it would be let's get the biggest takeaway possible. I've done really well this week. Let's really go over the top. Let's have a feast. And that was I remember just being you don't need to reward yourself all the time.
No.
But it was because I hadn't had, for months I hadn't had anything. Yeah. And I was actually, I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm still just as happy. I've just found other things that can kind of top up that dopamine.
People are so... Yeah, people are complicated. But in a good way. Because... I don't want anyone listening to think that by hearing me and Tom say that people are complicated, that's somehow... That's an attack on you. Absolutely 100% not. Because what makes you complicated is what makes you the person that you are. And that is so fucking important, to being truly authentic and truly yourself, that it is our biggest pleasure as coaches to be able to make this shitstorm that is fitness, nutrition, exercise, and the whole works that contributes to a more optimal physical version of you fit your parameters of your life. It's our biggest pleasure. So don't sit there and think that by us hearing us say that you are complicated, that's us pointing the finger and saying that you're the problem. You're absolutely not.
Yeah. And the opposite, just to play devil's advocate, just because you're complicated doesn't mean that it's impossible.
Sure.
Sam's being empathetic. I'm going to flip it to the other side and be it's difficult for everybody. Don't think that you're just a one-off. You probably aren't, but you might be a one-off special occasion that it's going to be more difficult or whatever. You can still do it. You've just not figured out your way yet.
Sure.
And I'm quite an empathetic coach, but I do think from time to time we need to give you that little, come on now.
Bit of tough love.
Come on now.
Bit of tough love. For sure. Time and a place, absolutely.
I'm sure you'll be able to keep that on me. If I say something, you'll be able to flip that coin, and I'd really like you to do it, because I just think you can. And as a coach, I've said this for a long time, right? I'm here to either hold your hand or kick your ass. When you need your hand held, I'll tell you. When things are hard and when things are tough, I'll say. But when I think you're just bullshitting me and yourself, I'll tell you as well, look, come on now. It is simple. Yeah. It is a calorie deficit. It is eating less and doing a little bit more. Don't try and overcomplicate it. Even though you're complicated, don't try. Let's fucking get it done.
Yeah. And to coin, I mean, if she listens to this, but to coin Clara, who I know you've worked with as well, what is the most compassionate thing to do for someone? It's not to just bury your head under the covers and pretend them fucking up on their diet and them fucking up on their exercise and all these sorts of things that are okay. It's doing it in a way that helps the person in front of us make a better decision next time.
Yeah. Everyone fucks up. Everyone cocks up.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. But not learning and doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result, as Einstein said, is insanity. Like, don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, and that'll be our role as coaches, is to help you guys see that. See what is to be learned from the mistakes that you've made previously, and how we can be more compassionate with ourselves next time round and learn from those mistakes.
Mm. So it's funny you bring that up, because this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. I obviously follow a lot of like hardcore folk, and then I follow a lot of like, I think now it's at a point where it's like over the top empathy, like it's too soft. Yeah. And we got Clara to come and do a seminar, like a seminar talk to us on like toxic positivity. And something that I was like asking her is, I was like, why is everything now so like client centric? So why is it that we let the client say, this is how I want to do things, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, when we're the experts? We're the ones that know. And then there is it's called, I think it's actually called like expert led. I can't remember. I'm sure someone could comment below, where like we would take more of a role, more of a responsibility to say like, yeah, look, this isn't, you're not in a, like, it's, so let's take for example, we've all experienced this. A client that's not losing weight that tries to tell you, oh, I'm eating 900 calories a day. Like, yeah, we would say to them, look, you're not. But like, some people might be like, yeah, okay, right, well, we'll get it closer, we'll try and get it right. But like, I think then what starts to happen there is you're doing that disservice. Like, you're just not telling the truth. And I worry that like sometimes things do start to get too empathetic, where we're like, oh, you want to do that? Okay, just go ahead. But it might not be what needs to be done. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, like you said, I think the key word that you said there, mate, was that if there are any coaches, or not even just coaches, but anyone that you have entrusted to get you a result of any form or kind that bullshits you, is doing you a disservice. Yeah. Because you're not going to move forward, you're not going to move any closer to your goal by having smoke blowing up your arse every time you fall off the wagon, or any time that you don't meet the targets that align with the goal that it is that you're trying to achieve. Yeah. And I think you're right, mate. I think a lot of that comes down to who the coach is as a person, as opposed to what it is that they actually know about fat loss, nutrition, training, and all these other sorts of things. Because some of the smartest guys and girls in the world don't know how to talk to people properly. Yeah. You know? And so in that case, what use is what they know if they can't communicate it in a way that benefits the person in front of them? Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah, so if there's someone there's a balance there as well. Obviously, some questions I would like to ask, if there is someone who is coming to me saying, this is the way I want to be coached, this is how I want to do it, one of the questions I like to ask is, well, how has that worked out for you before? Yeah. We usually would not be having this conversation about you wanting to achieve a certain result if this is the way that you want to be coached, this is how you want to be talked to, this is how you want to be treated, because it sounds like to me that this is perhaps something that you've tried before, in which case we wouldn't be having this conversation if it was something that had worked.
Yeah, yeah. And do you know what I think it's...
Or worked long term.
Do you know, I think it's quite surprising, like, I still experience it quite a lot, and I've coached a lot of people, and I'm actually quite pernickety about who I let work with me now. But the amount of people that still get through that are like, right, I like your plan, but I'm going to do this instead. Sure. And like, you have to just kind of sit, like, I normally say, okay, right, let's do it your way this first week, and then we do it, and then if say like it does work, I'll be like, right, I'm going to tell you why I don't think this is sustainable. Yeah. Or I'll say, right, do you think you could do this for another 6 months? If they say yeah, I'm like, there's no point in you having me. I can just refund you, and
Yeah.
I'll let you go on your own. Or if it doesn't work, what I'll say is be like, right, look, we've tried your way. Can we maybe try a slightly different approach? That I'll try and keep it as close to what
Sure.
you're doing, but I'll tweak it. The amount, honestly,
I
the
think
amount
that I think
on
yeah,
you go.
I think that client exploration is quite like actually think that's quite important for their journey. I actually don't really. I've been quite fortunate in that a lot of people that I've worked with have been quite open minded to trying something different
Yeah,
to what they've tried previously. However, I have had people come on board who have said, here's how I want to do things, here's how I want to try things, and in a very similar fashion to how you have done it, sort of expressed how I think that this won't work. However, if we were to meet somewhere in the middle and try it this way, we could see how it goes. But communication constantly is what makes that a potentially difficult road to walk that much smoother, because you're going through that together. And I think that's the difference between them being with you and, well, inevitably not with you, is that you're helping them navigate that mistake as opposed to them going through that mistake on their own.
yeah, 100%. And that's like, I think that like for a lot of people, the beauty of having a coach is like that second set of eyes to discuss what you're doing. They can either explain why it's worked, or they can say like, look, I think this is too hard for you. Let's try someone else.
Yeah. Because, like we said, what works for one person won't work for another person.
No.
And, you know, Raymond, my cat, he'll hate me for saying this, but there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yep.
So,
yeah, there is.
Yeah, and that is the frustrating part about it, but that is the equally beautiful part of it as well. It's finding what works for you and making it work for you.
So,
and not trying to force yourself into something that's uncomfortable.
Yeah. So kind of staying on this topic, right? I think there's 3 styles of coaching. Obviously there's way more, and this isn't like that like laissez-faire. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like if someone has a product, this is like the 3 ways that you'll see coaches work. You get coaches that have got a cookie cutter that's just like everybody does this. End of. You then get coaches that'll coach everybody the same way. So like me and Sam are like flipping the coin there, being like, sometimes you've got to be empathetic, sometimes you've got to give them a kick up the arse. Some people you've got to like really inspire. Some people you maybe just have to like check in once a week and they're like, right, accountability's done, right, let's do it, I'm going to go again. But you get coaches that'll be like, we're doing it my way, I'm going to use the same motivational speech for you as I'm going to use for everybody else's check-in today, or any time that something happens. And like, they've just got one way to coach. So it's not the same plan for everybody, it's just everybody gets coached the same way. And then I think there's like a top tier coach that has like, it's not bespoke, but I would say that like they understand you. There's a connection. There is like that. Like we'll use the word bespoke, like training, nutrition, lifestyle, routine, structure, plans, and everything that you need to adapt to make this successful. And I think on those like 3 tiers, like the top one, they all get results. Like the brutal thing is, they all get results, and people will work for different ones. Like you can all go Google like your favorite celebrity's workout plan, and you're going to get the same thing that your auntie gets, your uncle gets. But it might work it probably will work if you stick to it. Like if you can stick to it. And then the second option, like the second tier of like the coach will coach you the same way he coaches everyone. Like you may pick someone that, I don't know, let's say they do hybrid training or something, and you've come on because you like them, but you just want to do like a little bit of fat loss. You maybe want to tidy up your diet just a little bit. They'll still coach you the same way that they're coaching athletes. They'll speak to you. They'll talk about like periodization. They'll try and talk to you about like peaking. They'll try and talk to you about those things, and they'll do that. But as long as you stick to what they say, you probably will get a result. And then the last one is like the lifestyle changer. That is the person that is going to figure out what you need. However, what I'm finding trying to be this level 3, and Sam, you can tell me if you like, I feel like the progress is a little bit slower than what it used to be when I would be like kind of dieting everyone a little bit harder. I would kind of push everybody to like a meal plan of like similar foods, but like portioned to like them as an individual. But moving away from that and then trying to give people the education, trying to give them like the knowledge that they need. So I have clients that, like I said a minute ago, I've got a couple of clients that I'm like, right, how many portions of fruit and veg are you eating? Right, we're just going to try and improve that. Or you've never tried fruit, right? Well, let's start with that. But they still maybe overeat. Maybe they don't get it right. But by the end of that, like that block or that first or second week, they're like, oh, actually, I do quite like a few bits of fruit, and that's fitting in. But they maybe not lost any weight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then, like, having that lifestyle change, if you want that style of coach, I just feel like it is a little bit slower.
Yeah. Well, it is. It is. It's slower. And anything, I mean, to coin that old phrase, anything worth having takes time.
Yeah,
100%. But it's true in this game, in that I'm just going to piggyback on what you said, Tom, in that, see, assuming that, let's assume that fat loss is the goal, and assuming that the plan that you're on puts you in a calorie deficit and you're moving somewhat, doesn't matter what plan it is, if you follow it, you will get results.
100%.
Now, yeah, you will. Like I said, assuming fat loss is the goal, and assuming that you are in a calorie deficit and you're moving to some degree, you will get results. Now, where the struggle is for most people, long term, and I'm talking post 8 weeks, sort of 12 weeks, 16 weeks, is where they have made sacrifices up until that point to make their lifestyle fit into a plan that doesn't suit them.
Yeah.
And they start to go back the way. Because the sacrifices that they have made up until that point, they have now no longer deemed worthy of making to sustain the result that they've got from that cookie cutter plan that you call it. So it's and that's where true coaching comes in. That's where a really, really good coach can intervene and say, to start with, when it comes to training planners that I give a lot of my clients, like, we'll know ourselves when it comes to exercises, some exercises are better than others, hands down, for the result that they want, for the development of certain muscles. There's no denying that. So what might start off as a bit of a generalised approach to training will become a lot more tailored as the weeks and months go on, depending on the demands that person's body is putting on them. Because everyone moves differently.
Yep.
Whilst the exercises, generally speaking, some are better than others, everyone's body moves differently. So those exercises that we're talking about being better than others might not fit you specifically.
Yeah.
And that's where true coaching comes in. That's where the really, really good coaches can go to another level, and those cookie cutter coaches, those basic coaches, those less knowledgeable coaches can't go. Yeah. They can't go.
And to like kind of just like add some arms to that, like the cookie cutter approach is fitting fat loss into your, like, it's fitting your life into that. Like, you're putting your life into that. Like, you have to change it. The middle tier coach, what they're doing is they're trying to adapt things to push you in a certain specific way. The top tier coach, what they're trying to do is they're trying to fit fat loss into your life and show you how it fits into your life without making you change too much, but just enough to get the progress. Would you say that's fair?
Absolutely. Yeah. And combine that with sort of the attitude that we took about 10, 15 minutes ago as well, is that as good as that sounds, some element of sacrifice on your end will have to be made as well. But let me tell you something, that sacrifice that you make will be made worth it when you achieve the results and see what the results that you achieve give you.
Yeah. Big time.
So worth it. So worth it.
Right, I got 2 questions off that.
Go for it.
First one. Are you quite results driven?
Be more specific with results.
let's say physical
What does the
transformation.
result mean to you?
Let's say physical transformation, or like hitting a set goal. Like, this is where we're going. I want to get there. Because you'll know yourself. Sometimes in coaching, they'll be like, right, I want to do this, and what it starts to do is it starts to like snake all over the place, and you maybe achieve something, or like you don't quite achieve something, but they're like, no, I want to go to this, and that can sometimes happen in coaching. Do you feel like you, as a coach and as a person,
I probably was more results driven a couple of years back, but less so now. And in that, generally speaking, the people who come to me are overweight and feel uncomfortable with being overweight. So by proxy, a lot of the things that we do will result in them dropping scale weight, body fat, and all these sorts of things. But we are hugely, hugely focused, more so than that, on how that person feels at any given moment. And this was actually something that we touched on within the team today about mental and emotional fulfillment as well as physical fulfillment, and how the three are aligned with each other, in that it is not going to matter how lean you are, how popping your abs are, how well you fit into that dress that you're thinking about wearing, how well you fit into those shorts that you're thinking about wearing at the beach. If you're fucking miserable, you're going to be fucking miserable lean as well. Let me tell you. So yeah, we are hugely focused on how an individual feels at any given moment, and if that's dropping a stone, then it's dropping a stone. If it's dropping half a stone, then it's dropping half a stone. And if that's as far as you want to take things without feeling like you're sacrificing more from your life to achieve more physically, then in my opinion, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So there's trade-offs, isn't there?
Yeah. So this is the thing. Like, so see, as a coach, right? I'm a very empathetic person, right? Like,
Sure.
I understand, and I don't expect everybody to be like me. Like, I just don't. Like, I'm very fortunate that I love training. I love achieving things that I'm not even sure if I could do it. I love pushing myself, like, to the point of like just to the point of like absolute failure with like anything.
Yeah.
Like, and that could be burnout with business. Like, I just like doing that. I like it. I don't expect people to do it, and I don't expect to ever like ask other people to do it, because I know how shit it can feel. However, if someone wants to come and work with me and they want to do that, I'll happily do it with you.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I see with me myself, like, what I find is, you know how you're saying that happiness thing. I'm always quite happy. Like, I always think of myself as very lucky. But there's just something about there's just something that comes about when I set out to do something, and I know it's happening. Like, that makes me feel happier than like most other things. And that, like, excluding like friends, family. Like, I'm talking just completely personal, like me. When I'm achieving things, when I'm doing what I've set out to achieve, I feel better. I feel more confident. I feel like more driven to do more. But sometimes I think that like I agree that like if you're not happy, you're not going to be happy. Like, you've got to get that. Like, happiness is the most important thing.
Sure.
But I also think that like if you're someone that just can't get yourself happy, do something. Whatever that is in your head, that's like, I want to do that, I want to achieve that, I want to speak to that person, I want to start kayaking, I want to like, do something to get a step closer to it, and you will start to feel better. I do think sometimes people get themselves stuck in ruts. That's like, you need to get out of that, and then then we can start to fucking drive, and then we'll focus on your happiness. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I do agree though.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
But that's more. I think
so
that is more.
I'd probably say.
On you go, Sam.
Yeah, I'd probably say. Well, then, if you're someone who's listening to that and is resonating with what Tom says, then I'd be looking at your life and asking yourself, what am I doing within my life right now that's unhelpful to the life that I want to live? And if you ask it that way, you start to look at you start to look at different aspects of your life. It might be physical. It might be things that emotionally drain you, mentally drain you. You might look at relationships, friendships, finances, your job. When you start to ask yourself the question, if you're feeling unfulfilled and you're feeling out of alignment, like life kind of just isn't really working out the way that you thought it was, a good question to ask yourself, well, what am I doing right now that's unhelpful to me in achieving the life that I want to live?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you kind of start to give yourself a better idea as to where to start with things.
Yeah. I like you saying that there. I just read a quote either this morning or yesterday, and it was like there is a very fine gap between where you are and where you want to be, and it's normally just one action. It's normally just like a thing. It's like this, like you say, like it's stopping something, it's starting something.
Yes.
And it's like such a minute thing. I remember I just read it just the other day. It was on like a yellow and red image.
It is, mate. It's so true, though. It's so true. And where people kind of don't give themselves the opportunity to get to that next stage is what they do is they give themselves too much to do. So, what's that saying? What is it? Is average at everything, master of nothing? You'll know what it is. You're 100%. That's it. Yeah, jack of all trades. Master of none.
Hang on though, because that continues. Right, the full quote of that is actually, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So it actually fucking contradicts the whole point that everybody's ever always said.
I'll shut my bus then.
But no, there's just like useless shit that I know. Like, I knew that quote was, but yeah,
mate, that's wild. It does that 100% contradicts itself, doesn't it?
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Sometimes better than a master.
But hopefully, hopefully the point I was trying to make there is that when you give yourself too much to do, you will overwhelm yourself quickly and get
100%.
no further forward than you already are. Ask the question: what am I doing now that's unhelpful in achieving the life that I want to achieve? And focus on one thing. Focus on improving one thing, and start to realize and feel the confidence that gives you, and the energy that gives you. Starts to eventually spiral into other things as well.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Have you always been like that then, Tom? Have you always been very like, right, I'm gonna fucking try this really fucking hard thing and just see what I can do? Because I've got a question on the back of that as well.
Right, so kinda, right? But I've always been quite lazy as well.
Right.
So like, it's hard to explain. I've always been very much like, I'll do, like, you tell me that's going to make me better, I'll do it, and I'll do it until I'm better than most people. Like, so when I started playing basketball, I don't really have many friends from like primary school. I had people that I went to primary school with that I became friends with later in life. But when I was in primary school, I didn't really have friends because I just played basketball on my own all the time. And I didn't care. It was like just focused in on it and just done it. I've done the same with skateboarding. Like I used to just go out on my own. Like I would try and get a pal to go with me, but I would just go out on my own and practice.
Yeah.
And then like I think that's why I slot quite nicely into the bodybuilding. Because no matter what anybody says, you're on your own. But I think that's like a life lesson. But no.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't very good in school. I didn't do great in uni.
Mate, I feel like anyone who's kind of good at stuff like what it is that we're good at was never academically that strong. Was never like, I'm the exact same as you. Like I don't have people that I'm friends with from primary school, from high school. Like I don't. As sad as this will sound, like I'm not in contact with any of them anymore. Like I'll see them in the past and I'll say hi and stuff like that, but in terms of like close relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so. And do you know what? I've actually been doing a lot of like soul searching recently, and I don't know why. I just go through spells of this as well, right? And like, I've been asking myself, like, have I been able to do that? Is it to impress other people? Is it to just distract me from life? Like, is it like a little escape, and that's how I'm able to do it, and I like doing it. Is there like a passion? Like, am I just quite a passionate person that like zooms in and focuses in on things? And to go completely off track here, I've been listening to this podcast, or like I've had a couple people recently like asking, like, have you been diagnosed with ADHD? And a few of these things are like traits of ADHD that I don't know. I think I'm going to have to go get checked soonish, but I don't know. But to answer your question, like, I've been able to like zoom in and focus in on things. Here's one that you maybe wouldn't have guessed that I used to be really, really good at. Call of Duty. I used to be like honest. Call of Duty 4, right? I got to 69th in the world.
Oh, mate.
I've got a photo of it somewhere.
You need to pick that controller back up.
Nah, I done it in my mate's son was playing.
You need to join me. You need to get back in the war zone with me.
Honest. No, at least I'd leave me. Lisa would. She got a taste of it once. We went to America, and the boys had seen me play, and they were like, "Come on, Tom, we'll fire it back up." And she always does this thing because my eyes are like that, like all over the screen, and she always takes the mick out of me. But yeah, I went to my mate's house because he'd seen me play, he knew about like how good I was, and he was telling his son all the time, "You need to see Tom, you need to see Tom." But obviously, there's like slide cancelling, there's like all these new things in there, and I didn't know what they were. And I'm running around and I'm like changing the sensitivity so I can like freaking shoot about a bit quicker, but like. And his son was just like, "You're such a noob, man." I was like, "I'm not playing anymore."
That's it. I'm hanging the controller up. I'm done. I'm away.
And that was
mate, it's a different game now. It's a different game. It's a different game.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
So then on the back of that, then.
Yep.
For the record, if anyone's, I still play. I still jump into Warzone from time to time. I love it. But like, I say one of the best ways for downtime, but I get so fucking animated and stressed like playing it. It's just,
mate, my hand. Like, check this out, right? You know how when you like, do that, like your fingers can go backwards. Yeah. This knuckle, like, comes all the way back here because I leathered my TV once. I was so mad, and it like my whole hand was like swollen. Mate, but like for anybody else that's listening, right? And Sam, you might not know this. If anybody ever played basketball with me, anybody ever skateboarded with me, or anybody ever seen me play Call of Duty and I didn't have a good game, like, my fuse just goes like, and I just see red. Yeah. And the thing that's annoying, right, is on that bloody ADHD thing that I was listening to, that's supposedly like a trait, and it's because things aren't going the way that you want them to.
Yeah.
And it's always just been frustration, and I've not been able to control it. It's just like, and just losing my shit. Honestly, so bad.
And we're sitting here wondering why we've got no mates.
Yeah.
It's because we're fucking short fused with them and angry with them all the time.
Short fused and just totally like zoned in and not listening.
So then, on the back of that, then, and I think this might be quite helpful for people to know. Have you found that your capacity for doing hard things has improved?
Massively.
Yeah.
The way I would describe it is it's like you become calloused to stress.
Right.
Like there's a couple times recently that like I've had levels of stress that if I experienced it, let's say even like 2 years ago, I think I would have had like panic attacks or like proper like meltdowns. Like I would have just been like, "Oh my god, no way." Whereas like recently I've like felt it and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is hard." Yeah. Like my chest gets like that tight way, like my throat goes this like rusty way, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is fucking stress now." And I don't think, like, I'm laughing about it. I don't think that's a good thing, and it's definitely not healthy. But you get used to and I'm gonna tell you a secret that like I think's really helped me. Okay, and it's not gonna be like extreme or anything. That like what starts to happen is like say you start something, a job that you know you need to finish. I find it easier to just do like little tasks. Like now I have no problem waking up at 5 in the morning, and that's not like a brag or anything like that. Like, but I wake up. Sometimes I'm still tired, but I'm able to just go like, right, come on, just get up, just go. I'm better at catching myself. Like, say I start having a bit of a negative talk to myself, I'm better at like catching myself on that and being like, look, you're probably going to have to do something slightly harder physically. You might have to do something slightly harder mentally later. Like, you can do this thing, and then like something that I've put into place that genuinely for me, and we just touched on it there, that was harder than like doing the physical stuff, like cardio training, tracking my calories, being hungry, getting steps in. Like for me, like genuinely now, that's not that difficult. But something that was always really, really, really hard for me, and I'm actually like sitting in front of them all now, was finishing books.
Yeah.
Like I could start a book, and then as soon as I got a bit bored, I'd be like, "No, well, I'm not reading that anymore," and I would just put it away and never touch it again. Whereas I like set myself this like challenge that like if you start a book, you read it until you actually hate it, and then you put it down, or you finish it. Like, and there's books that I've read that have been shite, and I just made myself finish them.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, and I know it sounds stupid, but I didn't do any homework in school. I didn't get good grades. I cheated in tests. Like, and it's because I just didn't put any effort in. I'd done nothing. I don't know if it's because I'm like I still don't know if like I can't figure out if like I'm a secret genius and I've just mastered my whole life, or if I'm actually not that bright. Like I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely
everyone's a genius at something.
I'm still finding mine out, but
it's not Call of Duty anyway.
Well, not now. But yeah, like forcing myself to read books because I get this like feeling of like, what the fuck? Like this is, I could be doing something else. This is boring, and I can sometimes just feel like that, and sometimes it is just like reading it. It's like, sitting here reading, even if the book's good, I'm like, oh my god, is this chapter over yet? Like,
yeah.
But that toughened me up a little bit, and I think one of the other things, and like we spoke about self-awareness, is like, and I cock this up from time to time still, is if I say I'm going to do something, I like make sure I'm going to do it. Like I want it to be that like if Sam, like Sam, I said to you, Sam, I was like, right, we're going to do, you want to do a podcast, let's do a podcast. I didn't want it to be that like 6 months down the line we'd be like, oh yeah, let's maybe try and do that podcast. I was like, no, like I've said we're going to do it, so let's fucking do it. So as soon as you came back, I messaged you, didn't I? Like I messaged you.
Yeah.
Was it tail end of last week or start of this week?
I think it was, yeah.
Because we'd spoke about it, and I was like, right, if I say I'm going to do something, I want to be the kind of person that people would expect me to do it. So here, right, mark my words. I'll say it right to the camera as well. I am going to run 100 miles one day.
What, in one go?
In one go. I'm going to do it.
My God. Tell you what, you're a madder man than me.
So,
I tell you.
I'm giving bodybuilding my absolute all until next year, and then after that, I'm going to become like endurance. I want to be able to run 100 miles.
That's cool.
In one go, and
that's cool.
I'm saying it now so people can like call me out if I don't, and I need you to call me out as well if I don't.
Like here, listen, you guys heard it here first. Tom one day is going to run 100 miles in one go. Yeah, which is absolutely wild.
I'm going to try and get my mate.
I tell you what, your capacity for doing the hard shit is going to be fucking mega by that point.
Do you know, don't get me wrong, like when I think about like hard shit, I always think of like you'll know yourself, like I train hard, but there's people that train to like a place that's just out of this world. And I'll never forget like one of the most eye-opening moments, and I've spoken about this a few times on this podcast, and I've spoke to a few people about this. My mate Mike Goods, who won like the fittest marine in the world or something, like dead serious. It's called the Black Alligator. Yeah. He won it. I love it
That
because he's
name.
black as well. I love it because he's black. He hates that. They're like, he hates that I love it because of that. Like, he's one of my best mates. So if anybody tries to do me for racism, or that,
yeah,
not race. Like,
yeah.
but, and I sometimes just call him the black alligator, and people are like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say that."
Whoa,
That's the
stop
trophy
that.
you won. That's the trophy
You're
you
like,
won.
I've had the green light. I'm okay. I'm certified.
No, I don't have the
I've
green
got,
light.
I've got the, I've got the certified black alligator card, and I'm playing it. All right.
But I'll never forget. Right, I was doing Olympic weightlifting, and I was doing my 3 reps, and I was putting it down, and I was like, "Yeah, that was pretty tough." And I'm like this, like the way I could hold a conversation like we are. And I look over at him, and I'm not going to be able to demonstrate it, but there was like snot coming out of his nose, and he was like, and I was like, fuck. And like from that day, I was like, I don't train hard enough. Like I was just like, it just snapped. I just seen it, and I was like, I do not train hard enough. And then after that day, I just always thought like, right, just go harder, go harder, go harder. So I don't know even know if, like, mate, you could probably, like, we're talking about me doing hard things, and I actually feel like I could probably do more. I could probably push harder. I could probably be tougher, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I do.
I think actually, you know what? You know, it's probably a good way to think of this. Like, is think of the thing that you want to be good at a lot like a muscle.
Yeah.
All right, in that some people think of it like a bicep, right? In that some people's biceps are big. Some people's biceps are like mine. They're small.
Gigantic.
Fucking man.
Yeah. Get them out.
Get them out. But the difference between the sizes in the muscles, the sizes in the person's ability to be able to do that skill is the amount of reps done in between.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing, Tom and me, different sizes. Tom's stronger than I am, bigger biceps than I am. The difference between, or the capacity in which Tom and me can lift on biceps is different. Tom's capacity is higher than mine. And the difference between those two capacities is the amount of reps done in between and the amount of time done for. And I think what's very, very important to note is that it's okay to feel like you're not good at something. It's okay to feel like you're not good at that one particular skill that you do want to be good at, but that there's a certain amount of reps that need to be done that you just simply can't fucking skip.
Yeah, you can't.
Before that skill is at a place where you feel confident in it and that you feel happy in it.
I also think as well as like volume, intensity, and like, and I'm not just talking about building muscle now. I'm talking about like anything. And
Life.
there's people that, like, you'll know yourself, like, right, we're both people that want to build our businesses, we want to grow them. There's people out there that are just not sleeping for days on end
Yeah.
to make it happen. And that sort of intensity, like, I pass out at 8 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
not
mate,
someone
that's not me. Mate, that's not me.
And it devastates me that I'm not like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'll give him a shout out. One of my favourite people to train with, right? Chris Rendell. He probably won't ever listen to this, right?
Yeah.
He is huge, like twice the size of me. Like, and I'm not massive, but I'm 100 kilos. Like, I'm quite a big guy. He's not 200 kilos, but he is massive, right? When you're watching him train, you won't care if he does listen to this, mate. I adore you, and every time I see you, I love it. He goes like cockeyed, and like his eyes go, and I'm like, mate, I would probably. And I've got someone else as well that I'll talk about, and he's definitely not going to listen to this because he's just a lunatic, right? He's got this, like, it's just this next level that, like, I try and tap into, but it's like something just, and I don't know if it's my body, I don't know if it's my mind, I don't know if I've not done enough reps, I don't know if I'm, like, hungry enough, I don't know what it is, but they can get to this level. And I take that back. Chris Rendell, you're the second hardest training person I've ever trained with. Craig Simpson, right? He's not a bodybuilder.
I don't know if I know who. Yeah, I don't know if I know who Craig is.
You won't, right? And he knows I love him, he knows I love him, so whatever I'm going to say here, right? He's a hairdresser. Not that that means anything, but like, training unbelievably hard. I don't know where I'm going to go with this, right? But just whatever it makes it sense, right? Hairdresser, pretty neddy, bit of a Ned. Loves a bev and a party. Like, he'll try and tell you he wants to stop. Next time you speak to him, oh fuck, I've been on a 3-day bender or whatever. Like, all the time, right? This guy, I've honestly, and this is, I would love to be like this, right? He'll do leg press, and he's doing it, right? And then when you get to that point where it's like, oh, if I get a bit of a help, this is going to be a perfect last rep. So you help a little bit, and you spot him. He'll look you dead. Can you still hear me?
What happened?
Oh, I hope this hasn't been cut off. Did I just keep telling the story?
Tom.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Two in our studio.
All good.
Right, and we're back.
Yeah, all good.
So the annoying thing is I was building up to like a huge, exciting bit. Like, so he would get
I
to
had the popcorn out and everything. I was ready.
He'd get to this point, and he'd be like, come on, you fucking cunt, like to himself, like, and honestly, I was like, right, rack it up, and he'd look you dead in the eyes, and he'd be like, 5 more. And you were like, what the fuck, man? Like, I'm going to be doing these for you. And he would just go for it. Mate, like, dead serious, and he won't care about me saying this either, because, like, this level of, like, he would spew or nearly shit himself every workout. Honestly,
mate,
I've met, like, he was...
That's, yeah.
But the progress that this boy makes is, honestly... And I do think, like heaps of volume's great, it does help, but it takes longer. Whereas if you can be someone that can just do it, like...
Just do.
And I mean...
Just do.
On you go.
Yeah, no, you, like, to use him as the example, in that very, very specific skill, you have to be a fucking nutcase. Like, that man is a nutcase.
He is.
But the results and the progress that he's got as a result of that is just crazy. And here's the thing, mate, I'll hold my hands up and say, that's not me. Like, that is not me. Like, again, talking about training specifically, you will not catch me nearly spewing or shitting myself.
Honestly.
During a session. I'm sorry, I'm not fucking doing it. I'm not fucking doing it. And if that's kind of... Yeah, and if that's the difference between him getting the size that he is and me being the size I am, mate, fuck it, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, honestly, like, I couldn't sustain, like, I would come in some days and, like, I'd be able to lift just as much as he could, and I'd be like those reps where my eyes felt like they were way to burst, and like I could feel my eardrums like buzzing, and like there was a couple times that like the room went this like weird yellow colour. I don't know what that was from, but like he'd still be looking at me and be like, "You had 3 left," and I was like, "No, I didn't." He just, honestly, it's like he wasn't all there, as in like he wasn't connected to his body or something.
Mate, it sounds like it. It's
surreal.
It sounds like it.
Surreal.
It literally sounds like it.
Yeah, he's
that is wild.
He's the hardest trainer person I've ever worked with. Like, you know, like you and I will train at a point where we're like, right, that was my max effort. Whereas like he's like, no, max is like failure plus a bunch with a little bit of help. And honestly, there'd be times where I would be like, say like incline bench press, I'd be like deadlifting it, and he'd be like, one more, and I was like, fucking, mate, I done it. He's like,
he's finished his set, and you're fucking sweating, like,
on it. He was honestly,
mate, that's wild.
And I think some people,
like I said, some people's capacity is just mad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd love to train myself to have that. I would love to. My brother-in-law's pretty like that as well, actually. He does like Ironmans. He's done 100 mile. I think he's done 104. It might be a bit more. 104 miles. He cycled. Listen to this for a challenge, right? He found a hill that was quite steep. He knew the distance of it, and he cycled up it. Is enough times to cycle up Everest. So when he freewheeled back down the hill, that didn't count. And he's able to just like, and I'd really like
That's
after
crazy.
the like I do want I want to push myself. Like I am just now. I think I'm giving like 99%. And I'd like to get that 100. I'd like to get 101. Like I would really like to be one of those people.
There's almost like a bit of a what if with that as well. Like I think, like people who are listening, they'll be thinking, Jesus Christ, like this is mad for me. This is too intense for me.
Yeah.
And I suppose probably to sort of bring it back a couple of paces and a couple of levels, in that there's almost a bit of a question that you need to ask yourself. Well, what if I could train to that capacity? What if I could work to that capacity? What if I could move in that capacity? What would my life look like? And again, it's not going to be that you are this person and that all of a sudden you're just going to be working to that capacity, moving to that capacity, training to that capacity, dieting to that capacity, whatever it is that we're talking about and the skill that you want to get better at. It's going to come with reps and it's going to come with time. And I suppose what I want to say is that whatever stage you are at within that skill that you're trying to learn and that thing that you're trying to improve on, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely okay. Keep putting in the work, keep putting in the time, because what Tom's talking about, that what's his name again? Craig. Or Chris? Craig.
So Chris is
Chris
Rendell.
Nuts, man.
He is like my little big brother, and then Craig Simpson's he's a total, like, honestly, and I've said this to him. He cuts my hair, and I say this to him, like, you're the total Ned, but he has a heart of gold, honestly. Like, but yeah, but this is the thing as well for like people that are listening, right? That was what he needed to do. Like for you, that could be like, right, I got 500 more steps to get today, and like if you have that like psycho, like almost like I'm going to do it no matter what, and then you do 600. Like, that could be the equivalent. Like, it's just... Or someone that's like... And I'll use work. Like, someone that's like, right, I've still got a few tasks to finish. I'm just going to stay until they're all done. As opposed to be like, I'll just do them tomorrow. Like, there's some people that just have... And I really look up to these people. They just have this bit more, like, oomph and drive behind them.
Yeah. Literally.
It don't matter what it is. It's just this ability to, like... I don't even know.
And you sit there and ask yourself, like, what if I could do that? What if I could move that way? What if I could work that way? And it's building up that capacity, and it's realizing that takes time. It takes a measured approach and putting in those metaphorical reps that moves you from where you are now to where you want to be. Like I said, like a muscle, like a bicep. You know, it grows over time. Under the right set of circumstances, under the right amount of time, it will grow and it will improve, and so will your ability to perform that skill, whatever skill that is.
Yeah, whatever
it is that you're trying to improve on.
Okay, right. I want to bring this right back round to you again.
Yeah.
And I want to finish on like something that will help people. Okay, and then we'll call it a night. And I think we'll agree that this is definitely going to have to happen again, because we didn't touch on mindset, we didn't touch on training really, and we didn't touch on nutrition or the topics that we were going to touch on. So earlier on, you spoke about your pre-dieting phase, and there was 3 weeks, 2.5 kilos off, right? You're now going into a photo shoot prep, which you said is 12 weeks, and you've just started week 1, right? Can you talk us through, like, you're a fitness professional that's dieted multiple times, stepped stage on a bodybuilding stage, been inside out ripped, trained for years and years and years. Can you talk us through like your expectations of like how much fat you will lose this first week, or how much weight, and then like realistically what your goals are to drop body fat, to pull body fat down, and then what you're expecting at the very end. And like this, I think for a lot of people to hear coming from someone that is a fitness professional that's done this multiple times, I hope that this takes some stress and pressure off their back, that like when they hear about this from you.
Yeah. I think so. Obviously I'm talking from experience, but what I want to be very clear very early is that I am not knowing how things are going to move and how things are going to progress within that 12 weeks. I just know based on experience that it's going to take 12 weeks. And I think my single best piece of advice for anyone who is starting somewhere and looking to get somewhere is that you are not going to be able to predict at every single step of the way what is going to happen. You are not. I just know that I am going to be able to get to where I want to get within a 12-week time frame because experience tells me that I can. So my aim, setting at 75.5 kilos at the moment, is to get down to roughly about 6 to 8 kilos. So another 7.5 kilos in 12 weeks time. And again, like I said, I know based on experience that is something that I can do. That is very manageable for me. I've given myself the opportunity, based on how I have approached previous dieting phases as well, that I start better, slower, and I grow into it as I become motivated as a result of seeing the result that I am trying to achieve. So not starting too aggressively, not starting too fast, just doing just enough to start seeing the result that I want to see, and then growing into it as I start to get into my rhythm. Think of it like, for all you guys that are listening that are into running, maybe you've ran a marathon, or maybe you've done a triathlon, or maybe you've done a couch to 5K or something like that. Your strongest groove usually comes round about in the middle. Once you've found a comfortable pace, the body's warmed up, it's you normally find that the middle of your race or the middle of your event, your run or whatever it is your most comfortable, because you've got to that point where everything's warmed up. You're breathing, you've regulated your breathing and all these sorts of things. Dieting is a lot like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I like to approach things.
Yeah. That's what, I like, just now I like the term finding your groove. Like, you're finding your rhythm, you're finding your way to do this. And that's what I was talking about earlier on. Like, I used to be like 3 weeks before I actually kind of found that. Whereas that last time, I was like day one. And I'd really hope that I can do that again. Like, I'd be like proud of myself if I could do that. Like, I genuinely would. And I start dieting Monday, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little recall coming.
Something different about it though, eh?
Yeah.
Like, see, just once you get into the thick of it, once you get into that groove, everything just becomes so, not even just from a results perspective, but from I find that other things improve as well. Like, I've become a lot more organised, I've become a lot more focused. Everything just
productivity goes through the roof as well, eh?
Yeah, productivity improves. Yeah, everything seems to just kind of become that little bit smoother, that little bit more manageable as a result of being dedicated to something, committed to something.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. So like Sam said, like, slow and steady. Give yourself plenty of time. Prep yourself beforehand. Are you being coached by anyone just now?
Not at the moment, mate. This is all I guess self-coached.
Oh, class. I guess that's definitely something to look into then and explore as well.
Yeah.
But I think
obviously accountability is good. Accountability is good, but once you've done this long enough, you know the game. You'll be the same.
Yeah.
You'll be very similar.
Vaughn knows that his main job is going to be peak week. In telling me when I need to back off the gas. Like, week in, week out, it's pretty much like, I know what he's going to say, I know when he's going to tell me to diet, I know when, like, what things are going to happen. His main job is just going to be peak week. Like, I just think I just need that second person to be like, because you know yourself, like, by weeks 9 and 10, you're going to be so, like, you become this, like, weird, like, you do become a bit of a weirdo. I was trying to explain this to someone the other day, that, like, I think just having that second person there is going to prevent me from either killing myself, or it's going to give me that little push on that, like, you need to push a bit harder, like, and that's he knows that, I know that, and yeah, mate. Look, I think we can both agree that we're definitely going to have to do another one of these.
Oh yeah, mate, absolutely. I feel like we just as much as I was like, I hope those who are listening and who have listened right until the end have gained some value from this. But I do just feel like we were just two mates, two coaches in the industry, just absolutely shooting the shit.
Yes, I think once it'll be a lot like so for folks that have listened and got this point right, we have it written down that we want to touch on mindset, confidence, and how to build it. We want to look at scale weight and how to deal with it. We want to look at how we deal with busy times, and we want to look at mindset around nutrition. We're going to look at training, why muscle's the fountain of youth, why it's important to track your sessions, or is it important to track your sessions? Because that was going to be my take on it. Mm-hmm. And then training is an underrated tool for fat loss. And then nutrition, where we're going to look at fads, why they work short term, why carbs aren't the enemy, and how to navigate through social occasions. So if people have listened this far and they want to let us know exactly which ones of those you want us to talk about, let us know. We'll also probably put out like a question box on social media to just get some pointers, and then we can talk about them, talk about our experiences. And the thing is, I really do hope that Sam and I don't just agree on absolutely everything. I really hope that we'll learn some stuff. And the unfortunate thing is, we're not trying to sell fads, we're not trying to sell quick fixes. That the likelihood is we're probably going to agree on a lot of things. I just hope there's a couple things that we would, maybe I wouldn't do it that way, and I hear you talk about it, and I maybe learn some stuff, and hopefully I can help you with some stuff as well. But it's been an absolute pleasure, Sam, honestly.
Too right. Yeah, mate, thank you very much for having me. I look forward to dropping some absolute knowledge bombs for everyone. For everyone that's listening who feels like they need it, for everyone who feels frustrated with dieting, training, not getting the result they want, I hope that there is something that we say that is the driving force for change in their life. And that's all we can hope for, isn't it?
That's a wrap. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want this to be, Sam. Right. Thanks, everybody.
Speak soon.